In this activity, we'll be creating a program that utilizes a custom enum. Enums are used to create your own type in Rust and provide increased code robustness and make your code easier to read. So let's hop into Visual Studio Code and get started. We are on Activity 7, so double-click the a7.rs file to open up the activity. Once the activity file loads, review the topic and program requirements. As with other activities, attempt to implement a solution on your own with the video paused. Once completed, resume the video and I will demonstrate my implementation as well as provide insights to the activity topic. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. So our topic for this activity is working with an enumeration. Our program requirements are quite simple this time. All we have to do is print out the name of a color to the terminal. We could simply accomplish that with a print line statement and be done. However, the notes add on some restrictions that we should follow. We need to use an enum with different color names as variants. We need to use a function to print out these color names. The function must use an enum as the parameter, and we have to use a match expression to determine which color name to print. We have quite a few things we need to implement. So to get started, I will copy the notes and use them as a guide. So the first note indicates that we should use an enum with color names as variants. I'm going to name my enum color. So to create an enum, we use the enum keyword right here, and then the name of your enum. The name could be anything as long as it's not an existing keyword in the Rust language, and it does not start with a number. We then use the curly braces in order to begin typing our variants. I'm going to use red, yellow, and blue as my colors. You can have as few or as many colors as you like. Just keep in mind that you have to have each color accounted for in your match statement. So if you have too many colors, then your match statement will become longer and longer. Next, we need to use a function to print the color name, and the function must use the enum as a parameter. So to do that, we use the fn keyword to create a new function. I'm going to name my function print color. It's always good to use a descriptive name for both your functions, variables, and enums. That way, somebody reading your code knows what it does simply by looking at the name. The variable name that I'll be using for the function parameter will be called my color. We then use a colon to separate the name of the variable or function argument with the type of that variable. So this type is going to be a color type. So note that the type here is the same as your enum. So when you make an enum, you're making your own custom type. So these must be the exact same name since that's what we're working with. We don't need to return anything from this function, so we can just jump straight into the function body. Next, we need to use a match expression to determine which color name to print. So to do that, we use the match keyword. We're going to match on my color. So the function will get called. We have my color. We then match on my color. And remember, since color is an enum, the only possibilities are red, yellow, and blue. So I'll type those in. So we have red, and then we have yellow, and then we have blue. Next, we need to print out the name of the color. So use the fat arrows and print line, and I'll just print out the name. So we'll print out red, and this one will print yellow. And finally, the blue one will print out blue. Once that's done, we simply need to call our function with a color. It should then print the color, and our program should be complete. So to call the function, we just type in the function name, and we have to pass in a color. So in order to do so, we type in the name of the enumeration, which is color. So this name here is going to be down here as a color. And I'm going to choose blue. So I just type in blue and then end the statement, and the function should be called with the color blue. That will then go over here. My color will be blue. This then gets matched, and since we know it's not red, we know it's not yellow, we do know it's blue, the blue will get printed and our program will be completed. So let's run this and see what happens. Remember, to run the program, go to Terminal, New Terminal, type in cargo run -q -bin, or an activity 7, so type in A7. We then run the program and we get the output of blue, just as expected. You may notice that there are some warnings that were emitted. So we have 2 warnings that are emitted. So we have variant is never constructed, 2 times, red and yellow. All that simply means is that we have a enumeration here. We have our color enumeration. We only used blue. So we didn't use yellow. We didn't use red. And the compiler is just telling us like, hey, you didn't use red and you didn't use yellow. You might want to look into that. This is one of the great features of the Rust compiler, is it always informs you if something is either wrong or is potentially wrong based on how you're writing your code. This concludes the activity on Enum. I'll see you in the next presentation.